I hope you're all doing good and the best of your health. So I believe that you would have watched the last class and the first 5 questions that is on need pattern exercise on work, energy and power. That was a really wonderful question that will be of great help to you all. In the next 5 questions, we'll be seeing some more good questions on how you can apply the concept of work, energy and power that already we have learned. We have learned about how to calculate the kinetic energy, how to calculate the potential energy, how to use the law of conservation of energy and how to use the work energy theorem. In today's class, we'll be seeing how to use all these and try to find out the result for each of the questions. Let's go ahead with the first question of the day, that is question number 6 after the first 5 questions. Question number 6. The kinetic energy acquired by a mass m in traveling a certain distance d starting from rest under the action of a constant force is directly proportional to. Now its option, if you see, it's m, root m, 1 upon root m and independent of m. That means we have to find out the kinetic energy dependence on mass. That means if a body is heavy, whether its kinetic energy acquired by it will be more, or if a body is heavy, kinetic energy acquired by it will be less. Kinetic energy, you must be thinking that kinetic energy is given as half mv square. First thing that you will be doing, kinetic energy is half mu square. This is the first idea that any student will get in his mind. And he will think that kinetic energy, yes, it is directly dependent on m, and he will say that heavier the body, kinetic energy will be more. So he will be marking option number A. But you read the question, the kinetic energy acquired by a mass m in traveling a certain distance d. We need to find out the kinetic energy acquired by the mass m in traveling a certain distance d starting from rest under the action of a constant force. This is what has provided. It is acting, a constant force is acting and has traveled a certain distance d. Now if we go ahead, this formula will not be applicable to the kinetic energy acquired because we have a variable that is velocity. Now the velocity that will be acquired after some time, if there is a constant force, so force is constant, that means acceleration will be constant. Force is constant, so acceleration is constant, and the value of acceleration will turn out to be A equals to F by m. First thing we can write down. Now if a body starts from rest and reaches to a certain velocity due to an action of constant acceleration, we can use v square is equal to u square plus 2as. We can straightway use this. Now you see, if I put up the value of u as 0, 2a as f by m, s as d, so we will be having v square is equal to 0 plus 2 f by m into d. I hope that we are clear with this. V square is equal to u square plus 2f by m d. So v square turns out to be 2f by m d. First thing, I believe that it's clear to everyone. Now you see here, after attaining this velocity, if I say the kinetic energy of man will be what? Straightway we can use kinetic energy will be half m v square straightway. So half m and v square is 2f by m into d. Clear? This 2 and this 2 cancels out, so and this m and f cancels out. Force into distance, this is the value of kinetic energy of the body. Force into distance. This force is constant, d is the distance that will be actually for whatever distance the body has covered, you will be using that. So this is independent of mass. So don't go to the notion that here mass is there. So whatever velocity it is going to attain, you are going to mark option number A first, but that is an incorrect response. You have to think that if you solve this, you will be getting kinetic energy F into d. In your objective exam, I have elaborately shown how to reach on this. In your objective examination, you will be having less time. Apply the concept of work done by a constant force. You see here, we all know that work done by a constant force is F into d. For any distance the body has covered, work done by the constant force will be F into d. Then from work energy theorem, the gain in kinetic energy is work done, or the change in kinetic energy is work done by all the forces. Here only force is acting, that is the constant force. So the change in kinetic energy, if the body starting from rest, initial kinetic energy is 0, it will attain some kinetic energy, and that kinetic energy will be straightway equal to the work done and that will be equal to F into D. In your objective examination, you can do it in this way. Force is constant, D the term that we need to, whatever distance the body has covered, we need to use that. So you can use this method, just 3 steps, and the answer will be that it is independent of M. So in this way you can reach, or you can apply the elaborate method for your understanding and learning, but don't use the illegitimate one, that don't use this one, this is incorrect, and don't say that it's directly proportional to M. So let's go with the options. A, directly proportional to M, this most of the students will mark it, but this is incorrect. Root M incorrect, 1 upon root M incorrect, independent of M. This is very different option. A student while on his day of examination may think that this will not be there in the answer, but this is actually the answer. So the examiner may try to trap you all by confusing with such kinds of statements and variables and equations. So be very much, take caution, and with practice, the more you practice, the more perfection you gain, and you will find that your speed is going to enhance. And as speed is enhancing, that means automatically accuracy will come. First target will be accuracy, then speed. As you practice more, speed will automatically come to you. Question number 7. A bead starts sliding from A. You can say there E starts sliding on a frictionless wire with initial velocity of 4 meter per second. So there's a bead, it has an initial velocity that is 4 meter per second. Let me mark here the initial velocity as 4 meter per second with which it starts sliding, that is 4 meter per second. So if bead is having initial velocity, so we can say that it will be having some initial kinetic energy that will be half mu square. Next to C, on reaching C, let me show you. On reaching C, its velocity will be, you need to find out what its velocity on reaching C. Frictionless floor, the only work is done by the force of gravity that is pulling it downwards. You see here at point A's height is 5 meter, point C's height is only 2.6 meter. There is no loss due to work done by friction. There will be no loss in energy due to friction, and the only thing that you need to apply, now see here what will be there. As it descends, it will reach here. First its kinetic energy is going to increase and potential energy is going to decrease. Now again it rises. So its kinetic energy again will decrease and potential energy will increase. So either what you do, either you apply that whatever kinetic energy and potential energy the body is possessing here, and whatever kinetic energy and potential energy the body is possessing here, you may equate both the two and you may reach to the response. Next what you can do, now for first part you have to take potential energy to be 0 at this point. To use more convenient method, to be more fast and you reach to the result directly, use the potential energy to be 0 at this point C. If we take potential energy to be 0 at this point C, we can, see I am marking here potential energy to be 0 at this point C. The difference in the height of the 2 points A and C, if I write the difference in height of 2 points A and C as delta H, that will come out to be 5 minus 2.6 meter. That will give us 2.4 meter. This is the difference in height of 2 points A and C. So let me mark here. We have here, this is delta H, that is 2.4 meter. I believe that this point is clear to you all. Velocity here is u. Let's say the velocity attained here is v. Now we can use the concept of potential energy and kinetic energy conservation, that is the total mechanical energy will be conserved since no external agent is doing any work. So let me go ahead. So as no external agent does any work, as no external agent does any work, so we will be having the energy will be conserved. The total mechanical energy will remain conserved. The total mechanical energy is conserved. I believe that this point will be clear to you all. When total mechanical energy is conserved, so using the law of conservation of energy, we can say that total mechanical energy initial is equal to total mechanical energy final. Initially it's having kinetic energy. Its potential energy has to be given with respect to point C, not with respect to B. For our convenience, we are doing that. Either you can take the potential energy at point B to be 0. Whatever method you wish for, you can go ahead. Whatever point you are thinking to take potential to be 0, you are independent, you can go and apply that. It's all upon your convenience. For my convenience, what I am doing, I am taking the potential to 0 at this point so that I will be avoiding one step. So I am writing here half mu square plus mg delta H, because the potential energy, there will be some potential energy at this point A, is equal to half mv square. Potential point C will be 0. So I will write it directly as 0. M will be cancelled out, as you can observe. Now we are left with, we need to find out the velocity at point C, that is V we have taken. So can we multiply in everywhere 2? So we will be having, if I write here V square will be equal to U square. V square will be equal to U square plus twice of G delta H. Simply we need to multiply this. V square is equal to U square plus twice of delta GH. Now you must be thinking that's a case of free fall kind of thing. If you're thinking that way, it's also correct. It's a kind of free fall equation. See, V square is equal to U square plus 2A GH, that is what we have applied. So you can directly use that also. That is what you have learned in this example, how to go ahead with this also. Now V square, now U is given as, first of all you see, U is given as 4 meter per second. U is given as 4 meter per second. So this is 4 whole square plus twice of G, let's use as 10 into 2.4. This is what we can do. So we'll be getting 4 square 16, 2 into 2.4, 4.8 into 10, 48. 48 plus 16 will give you 64. I believe that most of you would have understood how to reach out to the answer. Further, V will come out to be under root 64, that will be 8 meter per second. Clear? I believe that now it's clear to you all. V equals to 8 meter per second. That is, the velocity at this point will be 8 meter per second. One more thing you have learned from this exercise. This is not a case of free fall, as you can see that body is sliding on the rail. But the equation, if you see, if you observe the equation, V square is equal to U square plus 2G delta H. Delta H is what? The actual height that it has descended. The actual height along the vertical direction that it has came down, we can use that. So if such kind of question comes, need not to apply all the energy equations, directly use this and you'll be getting, you know the value of U, you know the value of the separation of the heights, you know the value of G, apply it, you'll be getting the answer as 8 meter per second. Let's go and check the answer. Option number D clearly matches with our response. So 8 meter per second is the right response for this. Learning thing, we applied when no external agent does any work, we can conserve the energy, first thing. Second thing we learned, for such kind of question, try to remember, do remember that you can apply the free fall equation directly, and the difference in height you can use, and you can use directly V square equal to U square plus 2GH, and directly you get the answer. You'll be saving time on it. Let me tell you, NEET examination, you have to work on saving time. You'll have to solve overall in 1 hour or less than 1 hour. You have to solve 45 questions. That requires a speed. And let me tell you, for a good rank in your NEET examination, try to score at least 40 correct. I may be talking about more. 40 is quite more, but yes, you have to work on it, because if you practice more and with all such shortcuts and tricks, you can conveniently score this much. I hope that this is clear to you all and you have learned a very good trick to solve such kind of question. So let's go ahead with the next one. 8th, a body of mass 5 kg is moving with a momentum of 10 kg meter per second. So we are given that in the first line, its initial momentum is given as 10 kg meter per second. I am writing here initial momentum. Let me show you all here. Initial momentum is 10 kg meter per second. Let's go ahead with the next statement of the question. A force of 0.0 Newton acts on it in the direction of motion of body for 10 seconds. So next thing, we are given that force of 0.2 Newton acts for 10 seconds. Force of 0.2 Newton acts for time that is 10 seconds. This is the second information that has been provided. The increase in its kinetic energy is A 2.8 joule, B 3.2 joule, C 3.8 and D 4.4. Let me write down the thing that has been asked, increase in kinetic energy. Delta Ke has been asked. Increase in kinetic energy of the body that has been asked. Initial momentum is given. Force is given. Force of 0.2 Newton acts on a body for 10 seconds. Now what thing we can actually make out from this? Momentum is given. Let me tell you how momentum is evaluated. Momentum is equal to mass into velocity. Kinetic energy is how much? Half mv square. Clearly V can be written as P by M. You can see that V can be written as P by M. So kinetic energy will be half m P by M whole square. From here you get P square by 2m as the kinetic energy. First thing we got in terms of momentum, the kinetic energy is P square by 2m. So the body's initial kinetic energy will be how much? Initial momentum divided by 2m. Let's put up the value. In proper SI units, the initial momentum is given as 10 kg meter per second. Let me put here 10 whole square divided by 2. Its mass is given as, now see, mass, a body of mass 5 kg. It's given as 5 kg. So let me write here 5. You will get initial kinetic energy as 10 joules. First information we made. Now we have to find out the increase in kinetic energy. That is, what is the increase in kinetic energy? If you see F is equal to 0.2 Newton and T equals to 10 seconds, we know that impulse is equal to force into time and impulse is equal to change in momentum. Impulse is equal to force into time. Force is how much? It's given as 0.2 Newton for 10 seconds. So 0.2 for 10, you will be obtaining 2 Newton second. And we know that this impulse is only equal to change in momentum. So change in momentum delta P will be equal to 2. And since force is acting, the momentum is going to increase. So we can write that P final minus P initial is equal to 2. Hence this will turn out to be, if I show you here, the final momentum will be 2 plus initial momentum. Initial momentum we have evaluated already, that is equal to 10, that is given as 10. So 2 plus 10 is equal to 12 kg meter per second. This is the value of initial momentum. Now you see final kinetic energy. The final kinetic energy is what? Already I have given the equation. This is the value of initial kinetic energy I have written. Now for final kinetic energy, can we use this term kinetic energy final, that will be P final whole square divided by 2m, using the same equation which we have just derived. Final P, the final value of P is 12. So 12 whole square divided by 2 into 5. 144 divided by 10, you will be getting 14.4 joules. Initial kinetic energy is 10 joules, final kinetic energy is 14.4 joules. I believe that you have got the result, what I am going to talk about. The change in kinetic energy is final kinetic energy minus initial kinetic energy. Clearly put up the values only values you have to put. Let me rub this line, already we have used, and initial kinetic energy we know that is 10. So let me put up the values. This will be 14.4 minus 10, 4.4 joules. 4.4 joules is the answer. Let's check the option. A 2.8, B 3.2, C 3.2, all three incorrect. D, that is the correct response. That is the 4.4 joule is the right answer for this question. I believe that you understood how to solve such things. So if momentum is given, you know that the kinetic energy is P square by 2m. Remember this formula that will be required. And if force and time is given, understand how to evaluate the change in momentum. Change in momentum will be always force into time, and force is rate of change of momentum. From there also you can make out what is the change in momentum. And then you can evaluate the kinetic energy, then difference in kinetic energy will give you the work done. Okay, all these are very much helpful for your understanding, for your practice, and for your solving questions. I believe that on your own also you are trying to solve unsolved questions because that is required. Solving unsolved questions is quite required so that you may understand how much you have learned and how much understanding you can apply in questions. Let's go to the next question. Ninth question, spring of spring constant 8 Newton per centimeter. Remember that it's given as per centimeter. So let me write down the spring constant as 8 Newton per centimeter. First information is provided here. Next information, if you see, has an extension of 5 centimeter. The minimum work done in joule in increasing the extension from 5 to 15 centimeter is A 16 joule, B 8 joule, C 4 joule, D 32 joule. Initial extension is 5 centimeter. So let me write down initial extension as x1, that is 5 centimeter. When it is extended to 15 centimeter, we need to find out what is the value of work done. We need to find out what is the value of work done. The minimum work done in joule in increasing the extension from 5 to 15 centimeter is required here. So if you see here it's given that 8 Newton per centimeter, here again we have centimeter. So let's see, we will be using values with proper units in centimeters only. Let's see in what units we are going to get the answer. Now see that the potential energy of the spring at any extension is given as half k x square. We know this. Potential energy is given as half k x square, and now potential energy initial will be given as half k x1 square. This is what we know. Potential final will be half k x2 square. So what will be the work done? Since there is no gain in the energy of the, when there is no gain in kinetic energy, so we can, whatever work you are going to do, that will be used in increasing the potential energy of the spring. So work done will be what? It will be delta potential energy. It will be half k x2 square minus x1 square. This is what we need to apply. X2 square minus x1 square. So half value of k is how much? It's given that 8 Newton per centimeter. So I'm using 8 Newton per centimeter. Now x2 15 centimeter. So 15 whole square, and let me use this bracket, a larger bracket. 15 whole square minus x1 whole square, that is 5 whole square. 2 and 8 will give you 4, and this is now, see, 15 whole square minus 5 whole square. Use centimeter whole square. 1 centimeter and centimeter will move ahead. We can cut 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter. 15 whole square, 225 minus 5 whole square, that is 25. 225 minus 25 will give you 200, and here you have 8 by 2, that is 4. 4 into 200 will give you 800 is equal to 800 Newton centimeter. First thing, centimeter in meters can be converted, you have to multiply 10 to power minus 2. So 800 Newton into 10 to power minus 2 meters. So you will be having this as 8 joules. So you can write this as equal to 8 joules Newton meter. That is what the final response. 8 joule is the minimum amount of work done to extend it. So you can see that option A 16 is incorrect, B 8 joule is correct, 4 is incorrect, 32 is incorrect. I believe that you have understood how to solve this, and if you know the formula for the potential energy of spring, you can solve it easily. If you know that how to use the concept of work energy theorem easily, you can solve such question. I hope that you have got it. Let's go to the next question of the class. All these questions are pretty much good question. Every question is different. Every question is letting us to understand new things and actually different things. How many kinds of questions can appear in your examination? And I believe that with all this, you will be clear about the work energy theorem concept, kinetic energy, potential energy, the difference, their uses. Let's go ahead. 10th question. A particle move along the x-axis from x equal to x1 to x equal to x2 under the influence of a force given by F equal to 2x. It's a dependent force on x. Work done in the process is A 0, B x2 square minus x1 square, C 2x2 x2 minus x1, and D 2x1 x2 minus x1. Now see, the force is dependent. The force is dependent on x, F is equal to 2x. So let me write that this force is dependent, that it is not constant. Force is variable. It's not a constant force. First thing. When force is variable, I have told you how to find the work done by the force. Now, work done in the process. Work done in the process, we all know that work done by a small work done by a dependent force is F dx. First thing we know, force that is applied on the body, that is 2x into dx. Force, you can see that it is 2x into dx, that is what has been given to us. Now, total amount of work done will be how much? Just integrate this. Total amount of work done will be integration of dw, and this will turn out to be integration of 2x dx. X integration will be x square by 2. So finally, and you see you have to limits, you have to put x1 to x2. X integration will be x square by 2. So this I may write as 2x square by 2 from x1 to x2. We can straight away write in this way, 2x square by 2. Now 2 and 2 will be cancelled out. So we can write this will come out to be x2 square minus x1 square. This will be the value of work done while the variable force is applied on the body. You see here a particle move along the x-axis from x equal to x1 to x equal to x2. It's moving on the x-axis under the influence of a force given by F equal to 2x. The force was not constant, it was dependent on x. Whatever will be the x, it will change its value. Work done in the process is A 0, B x2 square minus x1 square. Yeah, this is the right answer. Where we have reached, rest 2x2 x2 minus x1, this will be incorrect. 2x1 x2 minus x1, this will be incorrect. I believe that you have got how to solve such kind of question. Pretty good question, I believe so. And already I have told you how to use the concept of how to evaluate the work done while using a variable force. All this set of 5 questions in this class and the 5 questions in the earlier class, these all were very good questions. Some of the questions are asked in the previous examination. Some of the questions depict the pattern of question that will be asked in your NEET examination. I will advise you all practice at least 30 more questions for your benefit. That will be enhancing your understanding of the concept. Because work energy chapter is very deep, and let me tell you, in the entire 11th and 12th portion, work energy chapter concept will be used. Thank you everyone for joining me here. I hope that you have learned and have enjoyed this class, and this class would have proved to be very much helpful. I will meet you in the next class with more information, with more learning. Till the time, wish you all the very best, and thank you everyone.